Hello there, and thanks for choosing RTV News. Here is what we have coming up for you tonight. Now, President Paul Kagame, who is the chairman of the NEPAD Heads of State and Government Orientation Committee, has met with Nados Bekele Thomas, who is the CEO of AU Development Agency, NEPAD, for discussions on the efforts towards economic integration.
With 6 days to the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, we will take a close look at the history of the Commonwealth and what the meeting benefits the host country.
The appeal court in the UK has allowed the flight bringing asylum seekers to Rwanda to go ahead.
We are glad to have you joining us and coming to you live from Rwanda's capital, Kigali. My name is Sam Kalisa.
And I'm Isabel Masozera. And our top story, President Paul Kagame, who is the chairman of the NEPAD Heads of State and Government Orientation Committee, has met with Nados Bekele Thomas, the CEO of AU Development Agency, NEPAD, for discussions on regional efforts towards economic integration. Now, the mandate of AUDA NEPAD is to coordinate and execute priority regional and continental projects to promote regional integration towards the accelerated realization of the Agenda 2063 and strengthen the capacity of African Union member states and regional bodies, advance knowledge-based advisory support, undertake the full range of resource mobilization, and serve as the continental technical interface with African development stakeholders and development partners.
And moving ahead to other matters related to justice, the trial chamber of the International Residual Mechanism for Criminal Tribunals has ruled that the notorious genocide suspect Félicien Kabuga is fit to stand trial for the crimes he committed. He is accused of that include financing the genocide against the Tutsi here in Rwanda in 1994, the fastest genocide in human history that killed more than 1 million people in just 100 days. The suspect was initially indicted before the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda back in 1997 and spent decades as a fugitive on the run before being arrested in France last year. He is 87 years old.
You are still watching RTV News. Now, in more news, the appeal court in the UK has allowed the first flight bringing asylum seekers to Rwanda to go ahead. It has supported a previous decision by the High Court in the country that it is in the public interest for the UK government to carry out its policies. Now, under the scheme, some of those entering the UK illegally will be flown here to Rwanda, where they'll be able to apply for asylum. Campaign were trying to stop the flight before a full hearing on whether the policy is lawful next month. The UK government believes that the scheme will discourage dangerous journeys across the English Channel and therefore undermine smuggling gangs. The first group of 10 asylum seekers is expected to arrive here in Rwanda on Tuesday.
And in more news, as we move ahead, the Ministry of Defense of the Republic of Rwanda, together with the Dallaire Institute for Children, Peace and Security, have renewed a 5-year memorandum of understanding for their commitment to prevention of recruitment and use of children in Africa and around the globe. Rwanda's Minister of Defense, Major General Albert Murasira, and Dr. Shelley Whitman, the Executive Director of the Dallaire Institute for Children, Peace and Security, signed on behalf of both sides. This particular document helps to define the roles and that each of the institutions play in creating the African Center for Excellence that is here in Kigali and the various activities that will continue to carry out together. The Center for Excellence exists to strengthen African capacity for research, training and policy development and foster innovative, regionally appropriate strategies to prevent the recruitment and use of children as soldiers.
So today we signed a renewal of a memorandum of understanding that we have between the Ministry of Defense and the Dallaire Institute for Children, Peace and Security. This is a renewal for another 5-year period. This particular document helps to define the roles that each of us play in creating the African Center of Excellence that we have here in Kigali, and the various activities we'll continue to carry out together. So far, it's been a very successful partnership where we've achieved great things together in terms of the numbers of troops that have been trained, but also in terms of our collaboration on the continent in other areas where the Rwandan Defense Forces are also present to try to help to build peace and stability on the continent. So collectively, this is our commitment to each other to work on how we implement the Vancouver Principles across the continent, share best lessons and practices, and continue to find ways to improve the condition so that we build an Africa that's fit for all children.
My name is Matt Hebb. I'm the Vice President of Government and Global Relations with Dalhousie University in Halifax, in Canada. And we are very proud to host the Dallaire Institute, and it was our honor today to be part of the renewal of the MOU between the Dallaire Institute and the Ministry of Defense for the important work that they're doing. As a university, we're very committed to supporting this work and looking forward to the ways in which we can collaborate with partners in Rwanda and learn from our partners in Rwanda. Well, I think it's a terrific sign that the MOU is being renewed. I think this is a sign of progress and momentum. And I think this important work will continue here in Rwanda and through partnerships across the continent.
Yeah, so we've been working with the Institute for quite some time. And today was just a renewal of an existing partnership between the Republic of Rwanda through the Ministry of Defense and the Dallaire Institute. This is very important as far as sensitizing the entire defense forces on the need to protect children involved in armed conflict. So this is very important to us. It concretizes our philosophy of protecting civilians. So children are a big component in this mission that we set out to do wherever we operate. So we find this very important for our institution.
Now on to the news that is having everybody quite excited. With just 6 days to the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, we take a look at what the history of the Commonwealth looks like and what it means for the host country. We have more.
In 1926, countries that were colonized by the Britain and later gained a partial independence came to an agreement with the Britain to form an alliance with all countries having equal rights as members of the community. At first, the alliance was named the British Commonwealth of Nations, which marked the beginning of the Commonwealth of Nations in the current form, which was further clarified in the 1931 treaty signed in the United Kingdom. The Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting was first held in 1971, and since then, the gathering happens every after 2 years, chaired by the Prime Minister or the President of the host country, who after the meeting chairs the coalition for the following 2 years until the other Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting is held. Rwanda is the youngest member of the Commonwealth, having joined in 2009 and became the 54th country. Rwanda and Mozambique are the only countries in the Commonwealth that were not colonized by the Britain. The Commonwealth is made up of 54 countries with a land area of 30 million square kilometers, representing 20% of the world's land area, and a population of 2.5 billion people, which is 32% of the world's population. Less than a week is left for Rwanda to host the 26th Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. Local residents are happy that Rwanda will be hosting the meeting. The first benefit that Rwanda will get from hosting the meeting is that it makes the country get known on the international scale. Also, delegates won't just come empty-handed. Those in the transport sector, hospitality sector, and those working towards receiving the delegates will get money, and that is a profit to local residents.
iyo amafaranga abonetse amafaranga ni isheni.
Dr. Murefu, a university lecturer, international legal expert and lecturer in global systems, points out that CHOGM is one of the meetings that convenes many countries.
Commonwealth ni umuryango ugizwe n'ibihugu 54.
The Commonwealth is made up of 54 countries, some of which were British colonies. But after the fact that the coalition must be strictly made of British colonies was removed, Rwanda and Mozambique joined. So it is an international organization. Looking at the population and the economy of the Commonwealth, it is one of the biggest coalitions that brings together many countries worldwide.
Zihuza ibihugu byinshi ukaba uri muri iyo miryango.
The fact that Rwanda will host the 26th Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, yet the youngest member of the Commonwealth, Dr. Murefu Alphonse, finds that it reflects how the country is trusted, while political analyst Alex Nizeimana points out that there are many benefits from Rwanda hosting CHOGM.
Kuba umuryango ibihugu 54
The fact that Commonwealth member states chose Rwanda to host the meeting, yet the youngest member, reflects great trust, because added to hosting the meeting, Rwanda will head the Commonwealth for the next 2 years. That is great trust for our country and our leadership.
Bagiriye ubuyobozi bw'u Rwanda, bagiriye u Rwanda.
Mpereye mu rwego politiki inama imurika igihugu.
In a political aspect, the meeting exposes the potential of a country and its ways of operation. You know how bringing together 40 heads of state would be a difficult job, so getting them convened at once means a lot in terms of diplomacy.
Kubabonera hamwe rero mu rwego rwa diplomacy mu rwego rwo gutsura umubano nacyo ni ikindi kintu gikomeye.
The Commonwealth is a great forum for opportunities in trade and development cooperation. Plus, hosting CHOGM brings forth other benefits. The meeting will generate profits. People will buy food and drinks, all of which are not only generated from Kigali. So livestock farmers, crop farmers from all over the country will definitely get the benefits. Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting will be held in Kigali from the 20th to the 25th of June 2022. Other African countries that hosted the meeting are Zambia in 1979, Zimbabwe in 1991, South Africa in 1999, Nigeria in 2003, and Uganda in 2007. The first Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting was held in Singapore in 1971. That's it with the Commonwealth, and of course stay on as the meeting is just 6 days away. And moving ahead to other matters, Commonwealth Women's Forum, which is parallel with the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, every 2 years will take place here in Kigali next week. Delegates at the Commonwealth Women's Forum will discuss solutions to addressing pressing challenges affecting women and girls across the world and the Commonwealth, and ensure member states have robust policies and programs meant to boost a gender equality target by 2030.
Proposed solutions. Leaders' discussions and decisions on ending gender inequality, ultimately involving women at the highest level of policy making to address the challenges that they face. Now, rights lobbyists here in Rwanda have been calling on the leaders that will gather from across the Commonwealth to realize the potential women have to transform societies.
This recommendation to the Commonwealth countries is first and foremost to look at the political will. What does it mean? Because the political will of any nation means about engaging its citizens. It means about being accountable to your citizens, and at the same time, it means that you are open enough to give people opportunity to challenge you. And I think Commonwealth countries needs to believe in women, because women have demonstrated that they can deliver. When you put women in leadership, women bring about results. And I think this is what should be able to accompany them when they are looking at collectivity of the 54 Commonwealth countries. That's how I see it. So for me, a woman is the backbone of the economy of any country. A woman gives birth. A woman is, we do know that we are trying to change that. Culturally, we know it will take us time. But at the same time, we know that we bring about change, and we are honest. In any business we do, hardly you will find a corrupt woman. So I can attest to that, because we haven't seen many women who are corrupt. So give women a chance in your 54 countries, and give them opportunity to grow, give them a chance. Rwanda has demonstrated that, and we are very excited because we can see change, and we can see the vibrancy of Rwandan women in every corner of this country.
Women are indeed the backbone of any economy. Now, moving on to health matters, the Rwanda Biomedical Center has announced that in August, it will begin cornea tissue transplant operations at the Rwanda Military Hospital, catering to the needs of people in need of such operations from the region and beyond, promoting medical tourism. Betty Mutoni now reports.
Cornea tissue disease can cause blindness if one fails to get the transplant. This tissue is hardly found, where donor corneas are available for only 1 in 70 patients, with 53% of the world population being unable to access this tissue.
It's really an area we think is going to support some of the patients who are in need of cornea. And we expect not only to serve Rwandan patients, but also patients in the regions to see how we can even export the cornea to countries in need of cornea. So in Rwanda, we have many diseases that affect the cornea, and we think that if this cornea tissue bank is established, we'll be able to probably support and really manage those cases where there's a need of cornea transplant.
According to the World Health Organization, it is estimated that approximately 1.3 billion people live with some form of vision impairment globally, while 8% of all vision impairment globally is considered avoidable.
There are millions of persons suffering from severe eye diseases, and the onlyest thing to do and to go for a health program is to transplant another corneal tissue. And of course, the corneal tissue can't be removed from a living person, but it's allowed within a close postmortem interval after death to store these from dead people, persons after death. And without quality losses, you can transplant this to the living persons with eye diseases.
The forensic summer school has impacted a lot in medical research.
Forensic summer school, we managed to have many experts from Germany and from Uganda. So this kind of exchange helped our participants, including me, to increase our knowledge in terms of research and doing some of the publication which are impacting our population in our daily activities.
Professor Leo Mutesa, Director of Center of Medical Genetics in the University of Rwanda, notes that in collaboration with the University of Hamburg resulted in establishment of the Rwandan Forensic Laboratory that helped to transform the way crime investigations are carried out in the country.
The idea was just to support Rwanda, especially for justice in justice sector, for having scientific evidence when they are dealing with crime scene issues or some crimes that are not solved. Another project which is now a project coming from this collaboration is a cornea transplant, which is a new project aiming at replacement of cornea. Cornea is just the tissue that everyone has in the eyes. When someone has a blindness, you can replace that tissue, and then a person can recover the vision.
In the 10 years since partnership was established, University of Rwanda's College of Medicine and Health Services, School of Medicine and Pharmacy, and the Institute of Legal Medicine at the University of Medical Center, Hamburg, have trained between 150 to 250 professionals that include medical doctors, trauma professionals, forensic scientists, and students. Betty Mutoni, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Betty. And we'll keep it to health matters. Rwandans suffering from albinism have asked to be able to get tested for skin cancer on a yearly basis. The request comes after Rwanda joined the rest of the world in marking the International Albinism Awareness Day. Precious Chidezi filed this report.
Those suffering from albinism are far more prone to sunburns and other skin complications. When the sun gets to me, it gives my skin a burning sensation and it starts reddening. The next day, my skin breaks out and this could lead to cancer. One of the things that helps them deal with the sun is a unique lotion they can now acquire from health centers using the community-based health insurance scheme, Mutuelle de Santé, but not all health centers have the lotion. We appreciate the government and Rwanda Medical Supply for availing the lotion. However, the most challenging thing is health centers that don't restock the lotion. The lotion can be found at the same place they find medication, but health centers haven't taken the initiative of reordering unless they're commanded to do so. Hakizimana Nicodem, head of the Organization for Integration and Promotion of People with Albinism, says that out of the 100 people that got tested, 38 of them showed symptoms of skin cancer, which is why they have asked that general testing for cancer be done, especially for those with albinism.
We are
pleased that the lotion needed to prevent skin cancer has been availed. However, there is a lot of people with skin cancer and some are not even aware. There are cases where people seek medical help after the cancer has spread to their bones, which is why we urge the Ministry of Health to arrange skin cancer screenings on a yearly basis and prioritize those suffering from albinism. The UN coordinator for Rwanda has commended Rwanda's respect for the rights of those with albinism, which is not the case in other countries where violation of their rights would be a common occurrence.
When you have stigma, when you have violence, you are not looking at how you piggyback on all the forces of the society to build a resilient, a strong, inclusive, peaceful society. So the impact of violence and stigma, and in some African countries even killing, because there is a myth that when you use some elements of albinos, you can get richer, you can win elections and other things. So that's why the UN in 2013 has declared, the Human Rights Council has declared this 13 June as the International Day of Awareness on Albinism. And it is a shared responsibility, all individuals, because stigma comes from all of us.
The Organization for Integration and Promotion of People with Albinism consists of 244 members of the 1,200 people in the country known to have the condition. The organization aims to amplify their voice and assure their contribution to the country's development. Albinism is a hereditary genetic condition one is born with. Each of its 3 types affects the eyes and skin, as well as a skin condition whose symptoms include bleeding and damage to the abdominal muscles, especially the kidneys and liver. Precious Chidezi, RTV News.
Well, that's all we had for you tonight. Many thanks for keeping it with us, and on behalf of the entire team, many thanks. And
I am Isabel Masozera.
My name is Sam Kalisa.
Make sure you keep it RTV. We have the French edition coming up.
Goodbye.